There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, there's a hole.
Then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry.
Bealiba club rooms are tired and are in desperate need of some tender loving care. There are many holes in the ceilings which need to be repaired. Installing insulation would help control the extremes of summer heat and winter cold. The showers are dated football club showers, and whilst they are functional, our junior female members would really appreciate proper walls and hole-free ceilings.
Then cut it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then cut it, dear Henry, dear Henry, cut it.
With what shall I cut it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With what shall I cut it, dear Liza? With what?
With an axe, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With an axe, dear Henry, dear Henry, an axe.
The axe is too dull, dear Liza, dear Liza. The axe is too dull, dear Liza, too dull.
Then sharpen it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then sharpen it, dear Henry, dear Henry, sharpen it.
With what shall I sharpen it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With what shall I sharpen it, dear Liza? With what?
With a stone, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With a stone, dear Henry, dear Henry, a stone.
The stone is too dry, dear Liza, dear Liza. The stone is too dry, dear Liza, too dry.
Then wet it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then wet it, dear Henry, dear Henry, wet it.
With what shall I wet it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With what shall I wet it, dear Liza? With what?
With water, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With water, dear Henry, dear Henry, with water.
How shall I get it, dear Liza, dear Liza? How shall I get it, dear Liza? How shall I?
In the bucket, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. In the bucket, dear Henry, dear Henry, in the bucket.
There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza. There's a hole.